Welcome back to Media7. I am the river is me. So runs a proverb spoken amongst the iwi of the Whanganui region. The proverb has also given its name to a new documentary that illuminates a modern media story about how we regard the archival image. I Am the River, screening this week on Maori television, tells the tale of a precious trove of prints and glass plate negatives captured by the photographer William Partington around the turn of the 20th century and rediscovered in 2001. Without the knowledge of the descendants of the people in the pictures, the collection was put up for auction, until, that is, there was an intervention.
We were quite taken back that our queer's photo had even been used to advertise an auction, especially since we didn't know anything about it.
I was approached and we had a hui amongst ourselves, and then a small group of us decided that we should go up and bring our tupuna back.
The auction room was full of people. We had people standing and people seated.
And I think it was right at the last minute that we got notice. We got notice that there may be a disturbance.
From our point of view, it was a spiritual journey. We had no choice. Our tupuna had made it very clear, in their own particular way, come and get us. We don't want to be sold off overseas. We don't want to go into other people's homes. We want to come home.
I'm joined now by one of those involved with the intervention, Ken Mair. Kia ora, Ken.
Kia ora, Russell.
As you said in the clip we just saw, you were approached. What was your advice when you were approached by those people?
Well, we were approached in the context that my cousin had informed me that there was an advertisement in the local chronicle, in the local paper, and she had made some approaches to the auctioneers to say, look, we have some concerns, our nanny's in here, our korals are in here, and we think that they should come back home. She got no response from them. She made some calls to some of us, and we had a short space of time. And so myself and a couple of others organised a small group of us from the river to go up to Auckland and make our thoughts known in regard to our tupuna. And from there we basically stopped the auction. One of the cousins stood up in front of the people that were there. They were clearly very, very well off. It was very clear that we didn't kind of fit the picture within the crowd of people there, and he stood up and made it clear to the auctioneer that we've come to get our tupuna back, these pictures. We find it offensive that you're putting up our tupuna, the photos of our tupuna for sale. We're not for sale. This is not about money. This is about the integrity, the mana of our people, and the time has arrived to take them back.
Is what's at stake here a different understanding of the meaning of those images, of those photographs, of the cultural meaning of them?
Well, it was clear to us that people were there to make a buck out of our nannies, out of our korals, and from our point of view, that was offensive. It was clear to us that they were going to go overseas into people's homes that clearly didn't appreciate where we were coming from. And we made the decision to go up there and bring these wonderful, beautiful photos of our tupuna back. And
in the end, you did buy them. Well, the River Trust Board.
Yeah, there was a
collaboration.
Yeah, that's right. There was a collaboration between the museum and the Trust Board, and as I understand it, extremely difficult negotiations with the Webbs in regard to these photos. But eventually, they came back home with the appropriate ceremony and to ensure that the status, the mana, the integrity of our tupuna was upheld.
Was there a right way of doing this? Could this have been done right in the first place?
Oh, most definitely. I think common sense and logic should have prevailed. It was just a matter of the auctioneers making appropriate phone calls, If they didn't know how to get a hold of us, they certainly knew how to get a hold of the museum. We have a very strong relationship with the museum, and the museum would have made contact with us, and with those phone calls we would have sat down and worked through some of these issues.
But I get the impression that this isn't going to be the last time something like this happens. You know, that there are all these, and moving images for that matter as well, where people do need to be consulted. Do you think, has much been learned? Because it seems like the museum in Whanganui particularly did the right thing. Yeah,
they done a very, very good job in regard to trying to work through the complexities of these issues. I mean, from our point of view, it was simple. Here were photos of us, no ifs or buts about that. They've got to come home, and we're there to bring them back home. Of course, it was a little bit more complex than that in regard to the negotiations that were required, and at the end of the day, it happened. So, going back to your question, could have been done better? Heck yeah, no ifs or buts about that.
Yeah, and I think one of the other impressive things about the documentary is that it tells the story without pointing at villains and without any great anger.
Yeah, I think that's what's great about this documentary. It picks up on the wairuatanga, the spirituality of our journey, and bringing back our tupuna to the river, to home and that. As well as that, it covers all those that were involved, and it allows the viewer to make a call in regard to who's right or wrong. And I think it's a very good documentary. Well done by the producers, and well done by our people that were involved. You know, one of our young iwi leaders was at the forefront, guiding, directing the producers of this film, and he done a very good job. And I think people can understand where we were coming from.
And I have to say, I thought perhaps the most powerful thing about it is that you look at these old photographs, and then the camera turns to the descendants of the people in the photographs, and you really see that they're the same people, the same round faces, the almond eyes. It shows what can be done with this medium, I think, and actually getting those ideas across. You could have talked about it, forever, but it wouldn't. I get the impression it wouldn't quite have had the impact of just seeing it.
Yeah, you're quite right. When you see the photos of our tupuna, and then you see the descendants of today, of our tupuna, of our ancestors, and that. I mean, you begin to understand, golly gosh, we do look exactly like the photos of our ancestors. And now we can understand why these people, our people, feel extremely strongly in regard to why their ancestors and their tupuna should come back.
No, well done, Ken Mair. I like a story with a happy ending, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I Am the River by Razor Film screens on Maori television at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday. And to close the show tonight, Jose Barbosa looks at the implications of a squeeze on newspaper space for classical music reviewers.
Hootenannies like this happen all the time in Wellington. So you'd expect there to be strong written criticism to go along with the local scene. There is, but perhaps not in traditional media.
Instead, the best place to learn about upcoming concerts in Wellington and read reviews is here, a website called middlesea.org. These are the scamps who created the website. They say the space given to reviews of local classical music in the Dominion Post has diminished considerably.
In the great days on the Evening Post, I would do as many as 12, 14 reviews a month. And that had decreased probably to 3 or 4 reviews a month.
The concerts that are being played aren't being covered, and musicians feel done out of getting feedback.
The crisis arrived at the beginning of this year with the festival, when the paper didn't want to cover a substantial chunk of music that was taking place during the festival. I felt that was absolutely wrong. So at that point, I resigned from the job.
I would challenge anyone to come up with a newspaper in New Zealand that covered as much as we do. You know, I don't have a bottomless pit of money for reviews, but I think our commitment is there and it's strong. We have to review with space. We have to review every day what we're putting in. Some days we have to let things go. Other days we've got more space.
Like it or not, classical music is seen as being outside of the mainstream. So perhaps it's only natural that coverage of that music, at least in a small scene such as Wellington's, would immigrate to the internet. So what's the problem, Lindis?
The newspapers have always been in the forefront of creating history, the raw material of history. And if papers stop doing this, it's going to make great holes in the body of information available to historians in the future.
Are we seeing the end of the professional critic?
I would hope not, because what I would see as the professional critic is someone who's got the time, energy, expertise and experience to put a really considered viewpoint across. And if that was to disappear and the world was to suddenly rely on people who were doing things just because they were enthusiastic about it and didn't get paid for what they do, well, I think that would be sad.
For those of us who think an oboe is the collective noun for sea cucumbers, this might all seem a bit irrelevant. But New Zealand music is more than just Shehard and Jay Williams. It's a vivid and living mixture of different genres. Yes, some will be marginalised by what's popular, and that's fine. But are we missing out on some great local music just because the media assume we're not interested?
Jose Barbosa there, and that's our show. Thanks to Ken Douglas and Ken Mair, and to you for watching. We'll be back with Media7 at the same time next week. Until then, goodbye.